Hey everybody, welcome back to Vigor Active Health Chats. I'm Dr. Stephen Newhart, and welcome to the Comfy Studio. We've got an awesome new studio that was developed for us. We're thankful for it, and we've done a couple guests in the studio, and we're excited for the guest today. I have Chase Bergner with me. He is a gym owner out of Arlington with a fantastic past. So this is definitely going to be a show about him and all the things he overcame to get to where he is today. He's become a good friend. He's got a wonderful facility, so hopefully we can add that in for 15 seconds at the end of how awesome it is and for you guys to check that out. But Chase, thanks for joining me, buddy.
Absolutely.
It's good to have you here.
It's a blessing to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, of course. So we just want to hear your story, man. I mean, I'm going to be quiet over here and take us on this journey. You came to my class that I teach at the university, and it really moved the students after you left. They were all extremely motivated, touched by your story, but it gave them a sense of where they felt like they could do something to the same nature that you have because of what you overcame. So I think everyone needs to hear it, personally. So this was important for me to have you here.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's a very unique story. Looking back on it, when I was going through it, it was a very hard time in my life.
Right.
But I didn't realize like it was for a purpose. So when I was growing up, I was abandoned by my mother, came from a broken home. I started really seeking attention because I wasn't getting it at my house. So I started disrupting the class. I'm in and out of trouble. My dad, about 7 years old, he goes, "We're putting you in martial arts." So I found that thing, it's that physical outlet, kind of like fitness is so much more to me than just working out and looking good. Right. And that was where I first got that taste of putting that energy into something positive. So I got in martial arts. My behavior started to improve. I was pushing for goals, gold belt, orange belt, green belt. I worked my way up. And it kept me pretty on the straight and narrow until about 15. And I had gotten to a 2nd-degree black belt, and I was getting a little cocky. So ego is not your amigo. And
it's a good one.
Yeah. And at that time I was, we were at a belt test, and there was a red belt had popped off and hit me. And I was like, oh no, I'm a black belt, and I'm training for the Junior Olympics at this time. Sure. And so I went off and hit him, and the master broke everything up, and he picks me up by my collar, and he's like, "Don't you ever do that again. You're a black belt. You're supposed to set the example."
Right.
And I was so embarrassed that I quit that day. And for the next year, my life spiraled out of control. So we're about 15. So I started getting into drugs and alcohol, experimenting with that, skipping school. The friends I was hanging out with were just scumbags. I had left all my positive friends who were in martial arts, and I'm hanging out with the thugs and the kids who quit athletics because they were too cool. It was really the same thing. I just wanted attention. I wasn't a bad kid. I just needed somebody to show me, hey, I see you. You're doing a good job. You're a good person. Yeah. And so mischief became the thing that I did. And about a year of that, I got caught at everything I ever did. And I found myself in a boys' home in Waco, Texas. I was one of the only white males in this. It's a juvenile home, but it's also a boys' home. It's kind of like a mix between a Kimbo and like a boys' ranch. Right. If that makes sense.
Right. Sure.
I got my butt kicked for the first year out there. It was
black belt.
Did nothing for me because I was in a new environment. These kids were, they were developed. And these guys had full beards, like muscles. They were huge. They were real juvenile delinquents. I remember one guy had like a teardrop tattoo, and when I got there, it was like I was suicidal. I did not want to be there. I had no interest in school. And I was just like, how did I end up here? And by the goodness of God, there was a guy in there, and he was a counselor. His name was Dwayne Sims. Dwayne Sims had a whole life-changing event. This guy in the 80s was selling drugs, doing all types of illegal stuff. And he had a God moment, is what I like to call it. And he made a promise to himself, and he said, I'm going to change my life if I get out of this situation. Sure enough, he did. He's now a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was doing his residency at Baylor during this time. And mind you, I'm getting picked on. I'm getting beat up. I'm by myself. You can tell that I'm suffering. And Dwayne was really the only person that seemed like he cared. And, you know, he started really talking to me, and he was always so positive and jazzy. And, it's just like a light out there in a world of darkness. Yeah. And he just, you know, we started talking, building a rapport, and he noticed that I had a knack for rapping. I could rap. So that was...
Probably still can.
I probably could. But he was like, holy cow, this kid can rap. So he would call kids over to hear me rap. And that was how I actually started to make some friends. And Dwayne was like, man, you got a way with words. He goes, you really need to read and write. So he would make me read and make me write. Wow. But he did it from a place of inspiration. It wasn't like, you have to do this. It was like, come on, baby, you got to do this because you're great. You got greatness within you. And just kind of like a Les Brown type of personality. Sure. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, he's right. Okay. And once I started doing that, it was like, I don't know, a paradigm shift in my mind. And Sims was such a great person that 2 days out of the month, we were able to leave on a van to go out into the public, whether it was a grocery store, whether it was a gas station, just to be able to have some type of normalcy. And Dwayne would make it a point to take me to a coffee shop to read poetry because he had me writing poems because I was rapping. And I remember the first time he made me go, he wasn't forcing me, but he was like, this is the next step, baby. This is what you got to do to be successful. It's in you, you know, the same sales pitch. And I was scared to death. Yeah. And I walked up there and I'm like frozen like a deer in the headlights. And I just read my poem. Everyone started crying and like clapping. And I was like, holy cow. Yeah. And then I wasn't scared after that. And he kept taking me, you know, month after month. And what's so crazy is I still talk to that guy now. He still makes it a point to touch in with me and give me advice and give me wisdom.
Great mentor.
And it's just good to know there is good people out there that have good intentions. And I think he saw a lot of himself in me.
Yeah. So where did we leave from there? Now you're where you are now. Like, yeah. So where's the bridge from that to, okay, I get out of there and then fitness shows up? Is that kind of...
So, you know, martial arts was always in the background. So I had grown up in an athletic environment. Sure. And as soon as I started to get in trouble, obviously that disappeared. But when I got into that environment where I felt vulnerable, literally just weaker than everybody else and scared, I said, I will never feel like this again. So I became obsessed with like self-development. And the first place that self-development starts is with the physical. Yeah. It starts with fitness. Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're not working on your fitness, that is the first thing that you need to do to improve yourself.
Agreed.
It's the foundation of it. Yeah. So as soon as I got out of there, I graduated high school and I knew Dwayne was like in my heart. I could hear him talking to me, you know, like his voice was always there. And when I got back, I knew I had to get out of the environment that I was in. Friends were still doing negative things, and I knew that that's not who I was. Dwayne showed me that I'm capable of more, and he instilled that in me. So I had nothing to my name. I told my dad, hey, Dad, I'm moving to Galveston. He goes, what? And I go, I'm going to be a personal trainer. And he looks at me, he goes, you're kidding me. That's not a real job. You can't do that. And I got and left with my car with just a bag, had no money. Dwayne Sims actually got me some cologne to sell to salons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he was like a hustler too. He was from the streets, but became this doctor. So he hooked me up, and he taught me how to go into these salons and pitch this cologne and perfume to these women. And I put a few bucks in my pocket.
Nice.
So I met him on the way down there. And when I got there, I found this little efficiency apartment. It was $500 a month. And I got on food stamps, and I got 2 jobs. One was as a valet and the other one was working at a gym. And I vowed to myself, I'm going to master nutrition and training, and I'm going to transform myself. And for the next year and about 2 or 3 months, that's all that I did. So I was in the sun. I was waking up early. I was constantly reading fitness information, whether it was textbooks, whether it was magazines, and then I was practicing it every single day. And after that time, I came back, and I remember I got invited on a trip with some of my friends that were a grade below me, and they were going to Mexico. And I had a little bit of money saved up because I'd been working, and I showed up to the airport, and I'll never forget, these people were blown away by who I had become.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a year and 3 months, that's a long time. You can have a lot of change.
Yeah.
And I got all this attention. And I'd never been like a ladies' man. And that's not the importance of this story, but all these girls were giving me attention. And it felt good.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment in time, I realized I just built a valuable skill set. I need to teach people how to do this. So I became a professional trainer, a personal trainer at that time is what I'd call it. And I just started helping people.
How did you get from Galveston to back here? Because now you have and in your fitness center's how many years old?
It's almost 9 years old. We opened up in 2016
and made it through COVID. And that's like an entire episode itself.
Mm-hmm.
We both endured that. I know it was hard on you, for sure. But how'd you go from Galveston here? So
when I got out of Galveston, it was because a friend of mine started doing drugs. And I knew I just had to get out of that environment. And anytime there's something negative going on, I have to leave that environment.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be in it
mm-hmm.
just because that past of when I was a kid, that desire could be there. And I just want to control myself just in case. So I remove myself from any negative influences. I don't have a lot of friends anymore because you remove those people, So I came back and I got a job at LA Fitness. Nice. I became just a personal trainer and I started helping people. And before long, I had a customer of mine saying, "Hey, Chase, you should open a gym."
Yeah.
I was like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about? I don't even know anything about business." She goes, No, you could do it. So I had another attorney that I had trained and he helped me draw up a business plan. And so I put this thing together. I pitched it a couple times to a few people and it was kind of like, no. And one was like a maybe. Mm-hmm. And finally I had a third person who was friends with the lady that got me to do this. And they had us at a meeting at IHOP. And in walks in her husband, who had already said no. And then in walks this old decrepit Indian man, like walking in, like he's got to be 5'5". I'm like, who is this guy? And then after that comes in his son, which was a kid that I used to help at LA Fitness just out of the kindness of my heart because, I love helping people.
Yeah.
And that day I got handed $500,000.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that somebody would give me that. But they saw my passion for it. So we started off profitable. Guess what though? Business is business. So slowly I brought partners on, which thinking back, I wish I wouldn't have done that. You start losing one partner. Yeah. And then another partner, and then another partner. And by 2020, man, there was no partners left except for the investor's son. And obviously COVID hit. So we had to pivot real quick. And, some people told me that this was probably not the smartest thing to do, but I gave all my trainers equipment from our gym. And I told them, guys, feed your families. Go train people in your garage.
Yeah. I did too, man.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Just to stay healthy.
For them, Mm-hmm. So now you're leading this awesome gym. By the way, I'll speak to the people. His gym is amazing. You should go see it. The way you've built this place out is just, they really have to see it for themselves. But I will attest to that. So now you're leading all these great people. Even one of your trainers, I know him. I've known him a long time. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. He obviously looks to you as a leader, and you're, he's holding you in that position. And so, how is it? How is it now?
Well, you got to go from working on the business or working in the business to working on the business.
That's right.
And when I did that, I burned the ships. So I gave up all my customers to my team, and now I had to go learn a bunch of new skills. And it was brutal because any of the money I had, I invested it into the company. Mm-hmm. And then I wasn't making much because I'm filling a role that's essentially not a role that's being paid yet. And anytime I created profit margin, I was smart enough to delegate my weaknesses. So I would bring on an operations director. I'd bring on a social media person. And so we were skating on thin profit margins. But the growth rate has been 15% every year since I've done it. And we're not all the way through yet. There's still some challenges and difficulties, but I think the way that I look at fitness, it is a stepping stone. It is a philosophy. And once you're able to control your body, because your body is an instrument, not an ornament.
Right.
And once you learn those strings and those chords and you can play them harmoniously, you can do anything you want in life if you're willing to pay the price.
That's right.
So I teach people it's not just about the fitness. It's the habits that go with it. And then those habits bleed off to every facet of your life.
Well, again, your story must be heard. So I'm super thankful you came out to tell it, because this needs to go everywhere. That last piece you said, I hope people listen to that. I hope they take that seriously. I'm a big believer in that too. I think once you can master this, you can kind of master anything. Plus, you've got a clear mind, and you know you can see things.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just you know what I mean.
Maybe it's a proprioception.
Yeah, something like
Crossing
that.
the midline. You got both sides of the brain working.
That's right.
But yeah.
But keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
You know, we had our first repeat guest earlier today, and hopefully you and I could put together a specific topic in the health, in the health realm that we can talk about and kind of put out there. Cause I love that. I love being able to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do episode 2 with you and I.
How about episode 2, proactive healthcare?
There you go.
Not reactive.
That's it. We see now they're going to be watching for it.
It's teaser.
Yeah. But thank you for your time, man.
Thank you for letting me come on, Dr. Steven. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Vigor Active Health Chats. Thank you.